Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Law of Relevancy podcast. We speak to leaders in the marketing, communications, and entrepreneurship field about what they're doing today to address challenges that come their way in the marketing and business areas. Today, we're speaking to Alexxus Hunter-Young. She's an inspiring young marketer, and she's also an aspiring future leader. Alexxus, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Well, we're excited to talk to you. We don't get to talk to many young professionals in the field and how they're coming along. And I was really impressed in speaking to you. You've got quite a plan that you're working.
Yes, I do.
So tell us how you got started in marketing.
I got started in marketing a little after I graduated with my bachelor's, actually. I was 22 years old and I pretty much returned home, as I like to say. I began my journey at Chick-fil-A. I started there when I was 16 years old and I started just normal. I basically worked the drive-through a lot. So people knew me as, the smiley, friendly person. So after I received my college degree, I rejoined the franchise and became their director of marketing and public relations.
And that's a special Chick-fil-A location. It's not usual to have a Chick-fil-A all the way up in New Jersey, is it?
No, it's not.
And so as their director of marketing and communications, I would imagine that you might be getting tons of experience in introducing Chick-fil-A to a whole new audience.
Right. Yes. What's actually cool is when I initially started, I was 16 and I worked at one particular location. It was in the same township. However, by the time I graduated college, there was a second location. So the operator of that first location switched over to the second one, and then that's where I became the director of marketing. So there's actually two Chick-fil-A's in one township. Actually on the same street as well.
Oh my goodness.
And, yeah.
Very New Jersey.
Yeah, one long road. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, that's one of the things I really love about New Jersey is the townships. They're very contained and compact, and they have their own little cultures within them all, and it's
yes.
a very vibrant place to go visit. Got some family up there that I really enjoy. And so after working at Chick-fil-A, where I would imagine you learned lots about corporate branding, correct?
Absolutely. Chick-fil-A is such a unique brand. You know Chick-fil-A for more than just the product that they sell. You know Chick-fil-A for the experience that you get when you go there. All of that plays into marketing. You think of the quantitative methods that they use, like surveys, questionnaires. I'm not sure how the Chick-fil-A's are down south, but I know for ours particularly, you receive like every 10 receipts, you receive a questionnaire on there. So you go in, you plug in how your experience was, how the product was, and then you receive, your little free chicken sandwich. But all of that is really important because that's how, you train, that's how you market. I know I mentioned before that down south, their menu is very different than the menu up here. All of that is marketing. All of that is, okay, that probably won't work out in this region, the residents up here probably wouldn't like the biscuit, the smothered biscuit, or, so all of that that comes from corporate, honestly.
Sure. And I think it's really important to look at your position and how you're able to capture some of that experience. I'm myself, when I was in my 20s, I worked for a corporation. When we worked for, we were selling a value-added reseller of some very, very large brands like Oracle and Linux and IBM computers. And so corporate would dictate very strictly how we were able to do anything. And it seems like being someone who I personally like to be more creative,
right.
It did feel constrained at times, but I think it was very, very important to go through that as a young marketer to learn some of those lessons because uh, following corporate guidelines, making sure things are co-opable,
Mhm.
managing the administration of all of those things. I think it's excellent experience, especially for young marketers, because it's those guide rails that allow you to be creative within the playing field later on, right?
Yes, it's definitely the discipline that I feel you need when you're starting out.
And so now you've moved on to the Press of Atlantic City, and you're a
Yes,
digital marketing manager there.
yes. So that was cool. Honestly, when I started the job, I naively thought that digital marketing was basically just social media marketing. And that is not the case. It's just, really one aspect in this huge, huge realm. It's email blasts, it's mobile technology, it's so much. And it was actually funny when I started my job, like the first week I was going through my job description and I just thought, wow, this is way more than I thought it would be. I thought I was just managing maybe some social media accounts or some websites, and it's really so much more than that.
Yeah, it's grown a lot. I mean, I'll date myself, but when I first started in the web, the internet was only a year and a half old, and so I became a marketing manager and working in the internet when it was very, very young. So I've seen everything. I can only imagine the challenge of trying to catch up to all the technology out there and
Mhm.
the stuff that happened before plus all the new things. It must be really, really challenging to be able to do that. But I admire you for doing it. So now inside of the Press of Atlantic City, inside of this publication where you're working, it seems to me like you have a special focus that aligns with your overall vision, where you're looking to grow and to ultimately end up in your career. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So, one of the reasons why I really wanted to transfer over to the Press of Atlantic City, number one, it's the major news source in my region. We have way more publications than just the one press. And I really am into government, I'm into law, I'm into politics. So I felt that being a part of this huge news publication would help me. It would, I'd be able to gain a lot of experience with the content creation, with just learning the ins and outs, the background of news and of media. I felt that I could use that experience, in my journey to becoming a lobbyist.
Well, I love your approach when it comes to getting that experience because sometimes young people will go to school and to get a degree in it, and you're actually getting paid to learn how it all works,
Yeah, right.
like your technique.
Thank you.
That's very, very smart. And so, in terms of like the experience and your path, like how did you discover that that was your passion to ultimately end up in politics?
I want to say since I was 4, I would, tell everyone I wanted to be the president. And then in school, that kind of just stuck. In 5th grade and 12th grade, I was voted most likely to be president. I've just always been very interested in leading. I've always been interested in helping and changing and a cause. So going throughout my educational journey, initially in college, my major was pre-law. I was political science, pre-law. However, I wanted more experience than that. I said, you know what, I'll get my master's in the law and government sector. I just feel like I need more experience. I feel like me learning, more will help me a little better. And I actually talked to one of my advisors and he agreed. He said, if you go to law school, they'll teach you law. If you get your master's in law, they'll teach you law. What else can you bring to the table? So that's kind of why I stuck with communications. I do like talking. I do like people. So I just kind of, jumped right into it. And my family was a little nervous about it until they kind of saw how I was working it to benefit me and my journey.
No, I do. I really appreciate your perspective and the way that you're going about it. It, you're wise beyond your years. I think that you're probably learning a lot of things out there in the real workforce that they didn't teach you in the books.
Right, for sure.
Can you give us a couple or maybe at least one example where, in school they taught you one way, but in the real world it worked a little different?
Oh yeah, definitely. As I stated with digital marketing, number one, I kind of, and this is not to, say my particular school wasn't, the best at it, but I just felt like we were lagging a little bit. We were behind the ball, because I shouldn't have felt, I feel like that social media was everything. Um, when actually I'm trying to think of how often I manage someone's social media account. And I feel like I do way more as far as like email blasts and search boosts and everything else. I do way more of that daily. So I feel like that was a huge part. And also, I don't know, I just feel like the students should know when they graduate that you're not done learning yet. You still have more learning to do. You definitely need to have experience when you're a marketer, when you're in public relations or advertising. You need experience because it's just impossible to tell you in a textbook, how a person will react to your marketing technique, honestly.
Yeah, and by the time those textbooks even get printed, the tactic might even be out of date.
Right, exactly.
You hit on one thing that's really interesting. We're working with a few brands that are very contemporary and trend setting. And one of the things that keeps coming up, and I think it's important to draw to pull, to speak about the point and to point out the contrast is we are finding that the younger groups, the younger consumers, the people who are in their lower 20s and high teens, they do view the internet mostly as social media. And so
Mhm.
there's some of them that said, hey, we don't know if we need a website because we can basically talk to our entire demographic just through social media. And
Mhm.
it was kind of a head scratcher because that came up in the last year. And I remember thinking, man, it's been a really interesting 23 or so years where in the beginning we were talking to people about why you needed a website, and now here we are 23 years later, and we actually have people, after going through all of that, we have people actually making the comment that they're not sure that they need a website because we've gone through the entire cycle
Mhm.
of the web being important. Well, that's really really interesting to hear about how you've kind of mapped out your journey and all of that. I uh, I really appreciate your perspective and what is next for you? What is next for you on your path? What's the next step?
Well, while I'm working, I'm also a first year doctoral student. Um, I am getting my PhD in law and public policy as well. So, in about 2 years, I will be done that. And I plan on growing and just going full-fledged into the government sector at that point. So I am hoping to go into the lobbyist field. I do want to get on some boards, maybe a school board. I do want to become a mayor of an urban city one day. So I'm just trying to take the necessary steps to just gain as much experience, just to talk to the people as much as I can. And hopefully I'll get there.
Well, I have a feeling today this interview is probably just another one of those lessons along the way of how to be interviewed, right?
Yes, definitely.
That's very smart of you to get the experience. I love talking with you and learning about how you've mapped out your whole path. I hope more young folks who have ambitions follow your lead and do what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
So where can people follow you if they want to keep up to date with your progress and to see if you've been elected mayor yet? Where do they follow you at?
My Instagram is Hey Lexi. So Hey, Hey, Lexi, Lexxi. I am on there a lot, I guess. Frequently, I am. Facebook, I am on there as well. Lexiani, Lexx Ciani, Ciani. So yeah, follow me on there.
That's great. Well, we'll be sure to do that, and we're rooting for you. We hope we know you're going to be successful with what you're trying to do, and congratulations on your educational path and career path. You can follow us anywhere where podcasts are found. The Law of Relevancy podcast on Apple, on Android, and across all of our social media. Once again, my name is Cord Zoen. I'm your host, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you again for joining us, Alexxus.